Hi there, my name is Steve Gearhart, and as always, this is the Unagi Observer. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching the video. This is a labor of love for me, so I'm so glad that you're here to watch it because we have a fun one to talk about today. We're going to talk a few things on, they are going to be Christmas related in terms of Japan, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and a certain little anime that I've come across over the years that I watch every now and again to remind myself of how silly things can be. Anyway, so this is the Christmas episode of the season, and so let's go ahead and get right into it, shall we? I totally forgot to put my Christmas hat on before I started, so Christmas hat on so we can talk about Christmas. Particularly, I want to talk about a couple, two, three different things. First thing I want to talk about is, and I kind of talk about it every year, is Christmas in Japan, kind of what it is and, what it seems to be like to me. One of the things that Japan does very well is taking other holidays from other Western nations and kind of adopting it into their own pantheon of holidays and celebrations and festivals and things of that nature. And Christmas is no exception. And Christmas is probably the biggest, not the biggest, but it's one of the larger nods to Western celebrations that there are in Japan. So another big one is Halloween, of course. So it's kind of interesting that Christmas in Japan is the way that it is, but it kind of makes sense when the predominant religion is not Christianity. So, but people like the idea of Christmas, and it's not just about the consumerism that we all see everywhere. And Japan is no different. You buy stuff, you buy gifts, you do things, and things are a little bit more lavish at this time of the year. But one of the big differences is, of course, is that there is not a religious aspect to it necessarily, unless you happen to be Japanese in Japan and happen to be a Christian at the same time. Then it's a different thing. But for most Japanese, Christmas is not a time to worship and reflect on God and heaven and Jesus and all that. But it's more of a time to reflect on, hey, here are my friends. Hey, here's my family. Here's the person that I really care about the most. This is the person I love. Here's my wife, my kids, whatever. It's about more or less spending time, a joyous time, a fun time with those people. So you see a lot of the things that you would see here in America. You would see festivals of lights, like parks all done up in beautiful lights, neon lights and stuff, and maybe little displays. You do have Christmas music, again, more secular kind of stuff going on, jingle bells and stuff like that. People do the hat, things like that. But they're with somebody. They're doing something, and they're having a fun time, a good time. And one of the things I think about over the years is I think about Christmas in Japan, and which I would, if I had my way and if I could be in Japan during Christmas time, I think I myself would also enjoy it because it's about fellowship more than anything else. Yeah, you buy stuff. Yeah, you buy presents, and you do the thing, and you have the nice dinner, which we'll talk about in a moment. But it's really about the fellowship. And then I realized that, it's not just about the fellowship. It's basically an excuse to have a large Matsuri, almost like a national festival. Even though there is not a national holiday for Christmas in Japan, people don't necessarily get the day off for work or anything like that. Some do, but most don't. And it's not like a national holiday like here in America or anything like that. But it is an excuse to have a good time. So you get to incorporate, so the Japanese incorporate, their culture into this idea of the red and white and the mistletoe and things of that nature, the fun things about Christmas, Christmas trees and stuff like that. So I think of it as a big festival, and like you can go anywhere in Japan and there'll be something going on, right, about Christmas, but there's no real Christmas rush per se. In other words, there's no big, you don't have to get the perfect present for the person. Just getting something for somebody is enough. Like, here's a piece of chocolate. Oh my God, thank you so much. Merry Christmas. It's that kind of level of stuff where I personally like that kind of level of celebration and being with your friends and people that you like and having a good time, going out ice skating, walking through a park that's lit up with lights, and listening to song, having a cup of apple cider or hot chocolate. I love hot chocolate, by the way, and things of that nature. Maybe a little bit of eggnog. Love eggnog. So you get the idea that this is more along the lines of a festival atmosphere, and I really like the idea of that. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but that's just what it seems like to me when I watch videos and hear things from people who have experienced it, and it just seems like a good time. And I think that's what Christmas should be. It should be a good time with people that you like. So yeah, there we go. My personal opinions and thoughts on Christmas in Japan. Now, some of you are Westerners living in Japan. If you are, please say down below, what your experiences are. I hope they're positive, and let me know how close I am to the mark on there, or if there's a specific event that you like to do during that in Japan. All right, Christmas in Japan seems like a good time. Okay, the dinners in Japan during Christmas. Now, of course, here in America, it's like kind of like Thanksgiving part 2, right? The eating continues. The fat stomach grows larger. It's a feast. We read stories, Edwardian stories of massive feasts, turkey, ham, sumptuous side dishes, desserts, cookies, pastries galore. So it's another holiday of eating as well, and so the dinners are important here. It's like all the family gets together here in America, and at one point in time, and you have a meal. In some places, much like Thanksgiving, some people will go to one set of families and then have to go to another set of families, and by the end of it, they're like, "They're stopped. I don't feel good, but it was so tasty." That's usually what happens to me. But in Japan, it's a smidge different, just a smidge. Yes, there are the lavish meals. Yes, there are the meals with your family and your friends and your loved ones and stuff like that. But there's a meal that they do that is very popular and has been going on for decades, and I would love to do it some Christmas here. And that is the KFC Christmas. Yes, Kentucky Fried Chicken Christmas, where people pre-order this Kentucky Fried Chicken. So if you're not in America and you're watching this, if you're Japanese and you happen to be watching this video for some reason, I don't know why. I get a small viewership from Japan. But if you happen to be watching this and you think why we're making a big deal out of it is because this is like, as you know, it's fast food. And in America, it's just fried chicken. Very good fried chicken, but it's just fried chicken. It's just fast food. It's not something that we would consider to be, the Christmas meal, So in Japan, for those of you who don't know, you can pre-order a huge KFC meal. And you pick it up on your way home from work, and that's your Christmas dinner. Literally, it's a Christmas dinner. Like they have the Colonel Sanders statue standing out there, and he's got the hat, and he's got maybe some garland on or whatever. It's all holiday themed. It's promoted on television as a holiday thing. Be sure to get your KFC bucket this year. Don't miss out. Supplies are limited, and it's true. And so, this is a thing. This is a big deal, and I love the story behind it. And the story is basically just one of entrepreneurship. So KFC licensed some franchises in Japan. The idea was that this is post-World War II, and the idea was to give U.S. soldiers who were stationed in and around Japan a sense of home, a taste of home, and to help alleviate with homesickness, particularly around when they don't have their families there. And so the idea was to set up these franchises really for American soldiers and civil workers and diplomats and things like that, so they will spend money in Japan and feel a little bit of home. And so a lot of these franchises started up, and most of them failed. Like they tanked. The idea tanked. you know, I think part of the problem is that, you know, American soldiers and diplomats and stuff took one look at Japanese cuisine, gave it a try, and said, "Oh crap, this is good," and ate more or less ate with the locals. So it really tanked. It didn't work, and store after store after store after store after store closed. So there was really just a mere handful, like 4 or 5 left. And this one dude who'd sunk his entire life savings into it had an idea. He goes, "Well, Christmas is such a big deal for Americans. So what if I just do, you know, maybe they, you know, play on their homesickness during the holidays kind of thing, and I'll just, you know, get a bunch of garland and I'll dress up the Colonel Sanders statue, put a hat on him, and call it a Christmas special of Kentucky Fried Chicken for their meal." It worked and it didn't work. It didn't work insofar that American soldiers were like made a beeline for KFC and said, "Oh yay, can I have my Christmas meal of Kentucky Fried Chicken?" Some did, but you know, for the most part, that was not the thing. But what happened was that Japanese people kind of took a look at it and said, "Oh, what's the big deal?" And actually tried eating KFC. And it turned out that much as many Americans started liking American cuisine or Japanese cuisine, some elements, I should say, Japanese people were just like, "Oh, well, we kind of do this, but in a different way. You know, this is kind of like a weird tempura kind of thing going on. We think, wow, this is kind of tasty. The skin's really tasty. Wow, okay, this is kind of good stuff." And so for the Japanese people, it became a hit, and of course, it's associated with Christmas. So the chain, the franchises revived over time, and that was a big way to get the chain to be revived, was to keep doing this holiday thing over and over and over again until finally it just got ensconced in the Japanese psyche of, hey, it's Christmas, the KFC, they're probably gonna have a deal on a bucket of chicken. You want to do KFC this year? Yay! And so off they go and get the KFC. I love that story because it has nothing to do with the Christmas spirit at all. It's just all about just like people just going, finding something new that they like and go, hey, here's an idea, and running with it. So I just love the concept of having a Christmas dinner of a bucket of original recipe fried chicken with the mashed potatoes, the coleslaw, and the biscuits, and all the stuff, and having that as a Christmas meal. I so want to do that, but the trick is I got to find a KFC that's going to be open, right? Because you don't really want to buy it the night, but you want it piping hot, right? That's what you want. So if I can do that, maybe next year, we'll see. Anyway, so yes, KFC for Christmas. I think it's a grand idea. So a number of years ago, actually not that many years ago, but a couple of years ago, Brent Newhall of Anime Archaeology that we join with on Otaku Station every week, link down below if you want to give it a watch. We talk about do deep dives on anime episodes. Check it out, have a good time. So he showed me this one Christmas anime called Santa Company. And it is kind of a unique anime insofar, not that it's like overtly weird or unusual. It's just one guy's love of Christmas and anime, and he managed to fuse it together. And this guy's name is Kenji Itoso. And I incorporated this anime in my panel at Anime USA, Anime from the Discount Bin. These are just kind of unusual anime to check out. So I'm kind of going off the notes of that. So this guy, Kenji Itoso, wanted to create a Christmas anime. And to do that, he actually did a crowdsourcing, Patreon and all that stuff. And he was trying to get 1,000,000 yen for the production. He was able to get 904,001 yen. And that's how they they didn't quite hit the original goal. Went on Kickstarter again, and they got the goal, and that happened on December 3rd, 2013. And they managed to raise more money by the end of it. So the project was done, and Kenji Itoso couldn't land a studio to do his dream anime of a Christmas anime. So what do you do when you have money and you really want to make an anime? Why, you do it yourself. So he created Kenji Studios, and he was able to make the anime and air it by Christmas 2014. And or he was able to make it by 2014. It was released in for Christmas 2014, but it was released in July 2014, just as to say, hey, it's done, here it is. And so yeah, he was able to make this anime. The thing is that when you watch this, it's definitely not going to be, the best animation. It's not bad anime. It's not bad animation, but it's not the best. You can see problems with perspective and things like that. But the story, the plot of this is that there's this young lady named Noelle, and she's kind of lonely, and her mother and father kind of disappeared at one point in her life, and she never saw them again. And so, she's, working at a retail store, kind of doing the Christmas retail thing, as we are all want to do. And she walks off the elevator and is magically transported to the Santa village in Finland. And it is there that she discovers that she is an actual Christmas elf, like something of that nature, and that she has 24 hours to prove herself as a full-time worker for Santa at the Santa Village, or else get kicked out. Merry Christmas, right? So she does the thing, and she has this exam that she's supposed to take before the 24 hours is up to pass to become a worker for Santa. She discovers, as she's trying to figure out getting her bearings, and she gets her little cute outfit, whatever, and she discovers that while there is one Santa Claus, it's a bunch of guys out on rocket sleds going out into the world and delivering presents. So there's an actual corporation kind of ethic behind this, and not it done in a anti-corporation way, but in a positive light of like, hey, we are a corporation that works for Santa, and this is how we get the toys to the children. This is all a business. And so it's very pro-business. And so she's figuring this out, and then the last sleigh goes out, rocket sleigh goes out, and she notices that this one kid hasn't gotten her gift, his or her gift. And she decides, well, gosh darn it, I'm going to get this gift to this kid. So the rest of the OVA is her and her friends that she's made thus far in the less than 24 hours she's been in Santa Village, going out and doing the thing and getting the last present out to the kid so that the kid can have a Merry Christmas. And so she comes across, various trials and tribulations, and there's this like anti-Christmas thing that tries to kill them, I guess. And but she is able to, with a friend who has been there, who has already passed the exam, and he's kind of trying to help guide her, and he's kind of surly. And their sled isn't a rocket sleigh. It has to be pulled by an actual reindeer, so they get the descendant. I think he's either the direct son of or nephew of Rudolph, and a dude has like scar marks on his face, and he looks angry all the time, like he's been drinking malt liquor all day, and he's just none of this. He just doesn't want any of this, but he helps her out, and so they go out and try to do the thing. And it's just it's an odd little anime. It's not like anything overtly weird, but it's just kind of odd. Just very, very odd. Enjoyable, but odd. And would later come to find out that there's an actual sequel to this, which kind of, I don't know if I want to watch it or not, but at the end of the original OVA, as she passes the exam, I don't want to spoil it for you because you really should see Santa Company. I'm sure you can find it out there in the world. There's a commentary of, I think, some of the senior elves or whatever. They're going, yeah, wow, what happened to her parents? Well, they were killed by the anti-demon or the anti-Christmas thing. So, what? Right? I think, if I remember correctly, that's how it ends. So anyway, Santa Company. If you want to watch it, go ahead. If you want to know just about it, just to have fun with it, maybe have some spiked eggnog and have a drinking game out of it, go ahead. But there are some other Christmas anime that I think you might like a little bit better. But this is an odd one that maybe you should just give a try, just to say I saw it. So that is it for this week. It's all about Christmas. My thoughts and feelings about Christmas in Japan. KFC for your Christmas festive meal, and an unusual Christmas anime. Yeah. So there you go. Next week is going to be the last episode of this season of 2025. We're going to break down the year. We're talking about a couple things. We're going to see what the schedule looks like for the channel afterwards. Like I said, there's always interlude videos for about a month and a half or so. And we're going to discuss possibly some changes coming to the channel. So yeah, so that's going to be next week. And right before the end of the year, I think. And yeah, so that's going to be it for this week. Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you have a great day, whether it be a day off, simply a day off. Enjoy your family, your friends, do something fun, I hope. And as always, as you're celebrating Christmas, just remember, watch anime. And Merry Christmas.